2025 to order. We just concluded an executive session and no decisions were made. At 5:15, I asked John Potter if the meeting had been properly warned, and he assured me that it had. So as we convene, let me also ask him, are there any adjustments to the agenda that are necessary?
None that I've heard.
Great, all right. So then let's approve the minutes from July 22nd, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes from the July 22nd, 2025 meeting.
Great. All select board members in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. And you may wonder why I always say 5-0, and that's so Jessica doesn't have to watch the video.
Oh, Madam Chair, I think.
Pardon me?
I think we're having a technical difficulty. I'm just trying to reach out to BCTV right now. It's not getting
Okay.
camera. Sorry about that.
We'll
Second.
just pause for a second. Chair's remarks. As I said last week, I'm redoubling my efforts to make sure that we all stick to our 3-minute public comment period. And in order to do that, it's really helpful if I have the patience and understanding of the public as well. And there are 2 events that I wanted to make sure everyone was familiar with. The first is the community night, and it's at the Harmony parking lot, and this is first responders, and there are, let's see, Brattleboro Police Department invites you to Harmony Lot tomorrow, Wednesday, August 6th, from 5 to 8 p.m. for Community Connection Night. Elliott Street and Harmony Lot will be closed to vehicles to make way for Touch a Truck, a cookout fair, free ice cream, a petting zoo, a dunk tank, and 7 to 8 inflatables. And this is a family night that the police department has designed, and parking will be difficult, so if you could carpool or walk, that would be helpful. And the second thing is Thursday Bridge Week celebration, which is the Brattleboro Recreation and Parks Department and the Vermont Covered Bridge Society are planning a special evening at the Creamery Covered Bridge on Thursday, August 7th from 6 to 8. Visit the covered bridge at 500 Western Avenue, and you can see a film called Covered Bridges of Southern Windham County, a 30-minute film by Philip Gattenby. And attendees are encouraged to bring their own chairs, and free ice cream will be provided, which was donated by the Brattleboro Parks and Recreation Department and the Brattleboro Elks Club, and served by the Brattleboro Garden Club. And so this is a really nice event by a number of organizations and people in our community. And we want to thank the Vermont Covered Bridge Society, the Brattleboro Garden Club, the Brattleboro Elks Club, the Department of Public Works, the Recreation and Park staff, the Vermont Country Deli, Phil Gattenby, and Dick DeGray. And that's all I have. John, do you have comments?
Yep, I do. A few things. So water and sewer bills were mailed out on July 15th. Payment is due on or before August 15th in order to avoid late charges of 1% interest and 8% penalty. Tax bills were also mailed on July 15th, with first quarter payments also due on August 15th, with interest of 1% if the payment's not received by 5 p.m. on August 15th. An update, as the state's paving project continues around town, we'd like to remind residents that overnight parking is not permitted within the project limits. There's portable electronic message boards that are going to be put out have been getting put out each evening to provide a reminder about this ongoing work around town. The milling operations taking up the old pavement within the downtown district will begin tonight, and work can be expected downtown for the remainder of the summer. We ask for your patience during this period and encourage residents to stay informed through the state VTrans weekly project updates. Please note that crews will be utilizing noise monitoring equipment to measure decibel levels during nighttime operations. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that on Monday at around 7:30 a.m., police, fire, and DPW staff were picking up litter and debris along the Whetstone walkway, and they observed a man who was unconscious on a bench. When trying to wake him up, they determined that he didn't have a pulse. Assistant Fire Chief Chuck Keir and Officer Cody Evans began medical intervention, including CPR. They continued that until fire EMS personnel arrived and took over and transported this man to the Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. And as of last night, this man has survived due to these actions taken by our police and fire EMS personnel. So thank you to all of them that were involved in that. It's great. And that's all I had.
Great. Are there select board members who have other announcements?
Oh, I have one announcement. Yeah. Tomorrow evening, I'm wearing two hats here. So this is not my select board hat, but I am a select board member and I'm on film right now. And BCTV is recording this. On our farm tomorrow evening from 5 to 7, we're doing a fundraiser for Brattleboro Community Television and WVEW, our local independent radio station. And I'm sorry that it's conflicting with community night, but you can go to both. Ours is from 5 to 7, and community night goes from 5 to 8. And half of our ice cream sales are going to BCTV, and we're doing Pick Your Own Flowers by donation. 802 Soul Kitchen is serving up food, and there's going to be live music and a live broadcast of the Bratcast.
What farm is that? I'm sorry.
It's Lilac Ridge Farm, 264 Ames Hill Road, Brattleboro.
What's the address?
264 Ames Hill Road, Brattleboro. You can look on social media at BCTV or Lilac Ridge Farm, or just walk down the hall to the BCTV cork board, and they have some signs, and we have signs around too.
Thank you, Amanda. Are there any other select board members who have something? Peter, are you sitting in a hole?
I am sitting in a hole. I'm a little resentful.
You want to cut that out?
I can't. I tried to fix it without making a lot of noise, and then
All
I'll
right.
fall and I'll just become like
All right. We have come.
Tons of fun. Tons of fun.
We have
I'm
come.
not going to
There's
do
a
it.
nice
Too much
chair
attention
over
has been drawn to it already. I'm just going to sit here and be humbled.
Let's have some public participation. Are there members of the public who'd like to speak on a subject that is not part of tonight's agenda? I see a hand in the back, and then Randy, and then.
Hello?
Your
Hello.
name, please.
Oh, my name is Katie. Oh. Hi, Peter. Hi, John. It's me, Katie. All right. Hi, everyone. I know many of you. My name is Katie, and I am part of a community space in Brattleboro called 69A.
Katie, do you have a last name?
Yes. My last name is Bachler, and I'm part of a community space in Brattleboro called 69A, and I just wanted to share a little bit about it and myself and some of the things we're doing. So we rented a space in Brattleboro asking the question of what is needed in this town, just saying, what does it mean to throw open the idea that, you know, we all have things to share and what might be needed in town. And we did that in January, and it has been this evolving, beautiful space with people bringing their gifts and wisdom and art workshops and movement workshops and film and food and dance, and it's been really, really beautiful. And as the motel programs have ended and more people are out in town, we've also become a really beautiful site of care and giving, and have been meeting people's needs every day in a really basic, beautiful way, like food and water and rest and art making. Like, we are an art gallery, and we are an art gallery for all. So we opened with that vision. Like, you don't have to buy anything there. Just come in, be yourself, see what gifts you have to share. There's a really amazing show up right now by a beautiful artist named Trish. It's going to be up for the next month. we had our opening a gallery walk, and she is a person who found the space and is now like, I feel like I can be myself here. Thank you, Lisa and Dave. Our beautiful friends Lisa and Dave run the space every day from 10 to 4 and just meet people where they're at and meet people's needs. And Trish goes there every day to make art, and she's made these beautiful lamps, which are for sale. They're like one-of-a-kind magical lamps, and paintings, and picture frames, and just as a story, as an example of a person who has found 69A and really come into their own. I think there's many stories like this. People call it a haven because they feel cared for there, and it's really beautiful. And our mission is to take care of people, and our mission is to be a place for everyone to feel seen and heard and be able to be themselves in this world. You can see our mission like on our website. We have a website and a Facebook and an Instagram. We take donations. A lot of people from the town have shown up and given donations. And John came to our open house, and we appreciate it. And Oscar came to our open house, and there's been a lot of support. And it's. Oh, sorry, I'm not like you said. And yeah, we're just trying to find solutions together in this town, and make perhaps it's hard, but we're all in it together. Oh my gosh, that's like weird
All
for
right.
me to talk.
You're echoing.
It's
What is
echo.
that?
It's a delay. But so sorry, that's making my brain feel weird. But I just want to say that we're here to figure out things going on in Brattleboro together, and our.
Well, I'm
Seth's trying
sorry
to
for
fix it.
that feedback, Katie, and I don't want to cut you off. Oh, there you
yeah.
are. There's your time.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me, Katie, while we have you here,
Yes.
let me ask you a couple questions.
Please do.
Are you a licensed social service provider?
I'm an artist.
So this is an artist
This
space.
is an artist space, and we definitely have the skills provided to listen to people and care for people and make art with people. I've been an art teacher for 20 years,
Okay.
and I have a lot of history talking to people and listening.
And
Just
would
point of
you-
order, Madam Chair.
Yes?
If we want to interrogate people, members of the public,
Yeah.
could we maybe put on the agenda for the September meeting to have a conversation with folks who want to present, if we want to?
I have a comment on the same subject, and I'm going to speak to those questions.
Okay, thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Please speak. You want to talk about this subject? Yeah, please continue. Your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Baucom. I currently live in Walpole and work in Brattleboro. I'm also going to talk about 69A for a minute, and first I'm going to briefly list my qualifications to talk about 69A. I have a decade plus of experience as a community organizer. My work has been featured on Democracy Now!, in The Guardian, in other publications like that. I also have an MFA in performance art with a heavy focus in social practice, have taught social practice classes, have stewarded community centers that are also art spaces for at least a decade and a half, very publicly, lots of records of this. I've been at 69A in some way or another since it opened, and have been there almost every day for the past few weeks. And I wanted to, since this is a public record and also one of the places that functions as one of the town commons, there have been so many rumors and speculations and accusations about 69A floating around, so not worth addressing any of that. So what I want to do today is say out loud what the space is based on those qualifications I just listed, including being there every day for weeks. It is a sober space. It is an art gallery. It is licensed as such. It is zoned as such. It is paid for privately by two artists with a long history of social practice. Social practice, if you're not familiar with it, is the practice of art as you in the world with other people. It is licensed for that. It is functioning as that. It's a sober space. Everyone in there is perfectly qualified to run what is happening there right now, which is a community center and an art gallery. Once again, I have an MFA. Katie has an art degree. I am also Narcan trained, de-escalation trained. I'm a medic trained. I've done this work for decades. Lisa has done this work for decades. Dave has done this work for decades. And again, this work is being neighbors with our neighbors. There are complaints about emergency services being called there. The only difference that I've observed in all of these instances, some of which are drug-related, some of which are people having seizures and diabetic responses, is that these people are having medical emergencies in community who know them and know what is happening. So basically, you're having a seizure in an art gallery, which also happens to be full of people who know you, know that your meds are in your pocket, or know that you need insulin, versus a stranger who's going to Narcan you or call an ambulance or do nothing. That is 69A. People are painting, taking care of each other, babysitting each other's babies, cooking 3 meals a day for free,
Okay,
making
Katie.
art.
Your time's up. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Randy, do you have a comment?
Hi, Randy Blodgett, District 7. Just have 2 things. The first one is I want to express my sincere gratitude to nearly 500 voters in Brattleboro who have shown such overwhelming interest and support for the one person, one vote petition for the change governing by Australian ballot. On Monday, the petition was officially certified by the town clerk, and it will now be subject to a vote by the town citizens in the near future. I want to reiterate our deepest appreciation for all the unwavering support. Remember, every vote counts, and it's crucial that we continue to exercise our right to vote. Secondly, I just want to say that I feel after being here for like a year and a half, most meetings or online and following and interacting, I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to everyone in the town government, dedicated citizens who actively have participated at the select board meetings, committee meetings, RTM meetings, and other various committees that have met either once or multiple times. We have made significant strides in accounting and financial practices, even though it seems like we're still struggling. I feel we made great gains. And I think that we need to continue to strive for improvement in all our programs and plan for the future. As Brattleboro, we have resilience, we have determination to overcome any challenge that comes our way, but we can always do better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Martha Noyce. I'm a resident of Brattleboro and a homeowner of Brattleboro. I would like to offer support to the board here, the Brattleboro Police Department, the Traffic and Safety Committee, and I believe there's been a newly established panel or group that's evaluating the traffic issues, problems in Brattleboro. I would like to specifically bring light to the issues on Western Avenue, the area where exit 2 moves west until the Creamery Bridge. I live on Orchard Street, and there seems to be a increase in cars that are parking on both sides of Orchard Street at that intersection. I know there are 2 paper signs that have been placed there by the police department temporary in hopes that there will be some permanent signs put in those 2 locations. And I'm also addressing the congestion on Western Avenue where the Country Deli is and the backing into oncoming traffic. I'd be interested in the findings, the suggestions, and hopefully some solutions in a timely manner to these few traffic concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. This is
We have
personal.
Mr. Ozer online.
Mr. Ozar.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bob Ozer, Brattleboro. 2 people already talked about 69A Elliott Street. I'm not affiliated with 69 Elliott, but I've been there probably weekly for a while. And I have to say, it is an excellent place for connection. And I really admire what the people there are doing. I admire what Lisa Marie's doing and David. And just, do a shout out to them. It's a heavy lift. and they are really trying. And so if you're interested, you know, drop in there. It's, I think they have an email at 69A Elliott Street at gmail.com. So if you want to email them first, or connect with me, and maybe we can find a time to go together. But thank you.
Thank you. Dick?
Dick DeGray, Brattleboro. A few things. If John, you could give us an update on where we are with the railroad and the right-of-way access. The second thing I would be looking for is, have we contacted the DOT to get some light synchronization? I live at Morningside, and there are times when I can't even get through the bridge because the traffic is there, and when the light changes, there's nowhere to go. So I end up doing a U-turn there. So that something needs to happen there, and we talked about this several months ago, and nothing has certainly gotten better. It seems like it's gotten worse. The last thing I want to say, I want to address the board, especially the 3 new members of the board, and what happened in March and then in May. The new board members talked a lot about, when they were running, a review of the budget process. Here we are on August 5th, nothing on the agenda. We haven't had anything on the agenda. You're not going to meet until September 11th, and I'm wondering what kind of review you're going to do in 2 months before you start the budget process. People just got their tax bills, had John mentioned, and they were sticker shocked at what their tax bills looked like. I've had more people talk to me about that in the last couple of weeks than anything else. And it was really disappointing because you did get a crack at the budget. RTM got 2 cracks at the budget, and we had the final outcome of where we are. So it is a little disappointing from you people not pushing to get this review done that you talked about and have it started. You're not going to get much of a review done before you start the budget process. And maybe you can address that question as to why it hasn't happened. Thank you.
I'll just say that the increase from last year, the sticker shock, was 2.9%. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, for the property tax increase was 2.9% overall.
And the select board had our annual retreat yesterday, and the budget was, I'd say, 80% of our conversation?
It was up there.
Yeah. So we talked about processes and structure for the upcoming FY27 budget. Did you want to make a comment?
Just, yes, that we did discuss it. We agreed on some changes to the process already yesterday. There will probably be more to come. And certainly the agreement yesterday was that the process is going to start earlier. It's going to start as soon as possible, and we're going to do some things differently. So.
I see a hand in the back.
Oh, you want comments from more
Did
people? From John. Oh, good.
The chair wants me to.
Oh.
Do you want me to address the railroad and the V-Trans light?
Sure.
So I know on the railroad right-of-way, we have been struggling to get in touch with the right person at the railroad. It's very difficult. But we did make a contact with somebody there who I believe has put us on the right track there, on the right course there. And then on the V-Trans lights, I know the latest update that I have on that was that we've continued to try to tweak those. We're working with V-Trans on that, and we've been trying to tweak those, but every time you make a small adjustment, it affects other things. And I believe that the Public Works Director told me that probably the best thing to do there would be a traffic study. Of course, that is expensive, and we don't have the funds to do that. So we've been having a conversation with V-Trans to see if they can do something in that to help us out. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we have been, we are aware that it's a continued issue at certain times, and hopefully we can continue to make micro adjustments that will result in a long-term fix there eventually, or do a traffic study. So, yep.
So the woman on the second to last row, please. Yes, you.
Hi, my name is Jane Congleton, and I live in Brattleboro. I grew up here, and I just wanted to share a little story because related to 69A, at the last gallery walk, when I was hanging out there, and I've been going in there almost every single day. Every time I'm in this space, I get like a boost. I usually go before my shift at work, and I say hi to everyone. I might bring like some boots that are excess somewhere else in town, and that's been the grounding of a lot of my role in community care, has just been moving material around. So I'll take a box of clothes up sometimes, and everyone always offers to help me bring stuff from my car. I always can get some snacks or water. I've been fed multiple times by this space. And on Gallery Walk last week, there was teens in the space, and their parents coming in, and older folks coming in to check it out. And someone had this funny little guitar that wasn't a normal guitar. It was a 4-string, but it wasn't a ukulele. And it was really cool. And they started playing, and then I started singing with them. And then these other young people with skateboards came in and started singing all together. And there was multiple generations. And I wanted to share that because it really fed my heart. And then there was someone having a really hard night, toward the end. And with the music in the background, I was given feedback that having a sweet kind of thing going on as background sound, as this other person was able to be in a safe space until a police liaison kindly showed up to help support them, and just to vent. There was this other kind of piece of art happening, and it took the burden off of someone being the hyper focus of being in crisis. And I thought that was really magical and a good example of family, and how we can extend the sense of commitment to family that we might have with our immediate family or chosen family, and actually realizing that this is what it is to feel family, where it's hard to have a relationship and move through conflict when you don't have a lot of time to spend with people just in the middle, enjoying food or art. And 69A has offered that type of space, and I don't have to pay money to be there, and I don't have to be anything except what I am. And I've met so many people and made a lot of friends, and I'm really grateful and honored to speak to it. Thank you.
Okay, Jane, thank you.
Thank you.
Gary?
I wanted to ask a quick question, I guess, John, since you've been basically in contact with B-Tran. I read a lot of what they're saying and what they're doing, and what they're saying, what they do doesn't seem to match up, because I thought Canal Street would be done by then. But with the manhole covers sticking up and these other things just mangled and ripped and going on to another side of town, and I thought Canal Street had been done already. Is there any way a representative from B-Tran could chime in or zoom in sometime next week, or come in just to give us a definitive answer to when they see this project being completed, or what steps? Because there are a couple of days that they just didn't show up, Thursdays and Fridays. It says Monday through Friday on this end of town, and this time they just never showed up. And it said Canal Street. So is there any way we can get somebody down here to give us a definitive answer, more clarity of where are they at, what is it they're doing, when do they see the end game of this project? Thank you.
Why don't we talk about having that as an agenda item?
Okay, we can
can
request
discuss
that if you want.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you, guys.
Abby?
Hi, Abby Manukin, resident of Brattleboro and District 8 rep. 3 quick points in my 3 minutes. One is echoing, uplifting 69A Elliott and the much needed services it's offering just by existing as a space that people can go to for free. Something that hasn't been said yet about that space is that they have public bathrooms, which is something that has been a need in our town for years. And they have 2 very clean public bathrooms with systems in place to prevent drug use, since it is a sober space. And I frequent 69A for many reasons, but using a bathroom is one of them. And I am grateful that it exists. I'm grateful for the care, the community, the connection, and I hope that community support grows. Secondly, I want to uplift the mover. I know that that has also been a subject of conversation here, the micro mover and contributions from the town towards funding. I hope that whenever there are opportunities for the town to fund the mover, they will fund it and then some. This is providing much needed services to so many. And yesterday, my 9-year-old and I had a free day together, and I asked her what she wanted to do, and she literally said, ride the mover. So we did. That's what we did. We looked at the schedule. We found a bus. We hopped on at the transportation center. We went up Putney Road. We hopped off near Hannaford so we could go to Whippersnappers, where she found adorable earmuffs for the winter. And then we hopped back on, stopped at other places on Putney Road. It was very joyful, again, filled with community connection. Dave from 69A was on both of our buses. Everybody was like friendly, knew each other, calling each other by name. They knew the driver by name. And it's just such an important part of our community. I hope it's continued to be supported. And my third thing, before I run out of time, is oftentimes people talk about how the town can't do everything and we need to look to other forms of other services and also government for support. Clearly, our federal government is really impacting every level of support to the local level, and now also our state. Governor Scott just released data for SNAP benefit recipients of 60,000 Vermonters. I don't trust that the state is there to protect us, and so that leaves even more on the local level to protect all of us in community. And so I hope that you take that seriously. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to applaud you for talking about the mover. I always feel that the mover is a huge sustainability amenity in our town, and more people went on dates with their daughters, the better. Are there any more comments from the public? Great, let's proceed. John, would you like to give us a thumbnail sketch of the consent agenda?
Absolutely, Liz. We have 4 items on the consent agenda tonight. If you approve this agenda, you'll be approving a second-class liquor license for Kinney Drugs located at 499 Canal Street, which is where Rite Aid was at Market 32. You'll be awarding a $100,640 bid for the Melchin Road Slope Stabilization Project to A.S. Clark of Newfane. You will be awarding a $158,000 bid for the Oak Grove Sidewalk Replacement Project to Bernie LaRock and Son of Guilford. And you'll be ratifying a $10,800 adjustment to the previously awarded bid for the William Street Retaining Wall Project to Michelle Bellergin Construction Services of Cornish, New Hampshire, now totaling $487,633.
Super. Can we have a motion regarding the
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Great. Oscar has moved to accept the consent agenda as presented. All select board members in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 That's 5-0. Thank you. All right, regular business. John, you want to present the financial report?
Yes, actually, I'm going to ask Sally Cruz-Nix and Bonnie Batchelder to join us at the table.
Great.
And you may have to bring a chair up, because I stole one of them for Peter.
Thanks.
And as a board, as you may know, since we were not able to fill the finance director position, Sally has been covering for a lot of the oversight of staff in the finance department, and we've hired on Bonnie as our financial consultant and basically to serve as our CFO for the town. And so I want to turn over to Sally, and maybe you would introduce Bonnie and give a little bit of information on her background.
Let me welcome you both, but first let me just remind you what Shirley Chisholm said. If there wasn't room at the table, bring your own chair. And welcome, Bonnie. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you. Again, thank you, everyone. Yeah, and like John had mentioned, we contracted professional services with Bonnie Batchelder from Batchelder Associates back in April of '25. Bonnie was involved in the final development of our fiscal '26 budget, which was approved at the RTM2 back in May of this year. She's in our finance office 1 day per week or more if we need her. She's always available, easy to contact, and she's involved with working in our town finances, as well with working on our staff on the finances and budget development, especially as we're about to enter the fiscal '27 budgeting season. She's been trained in OpenGov. She's really taken charge of the platform, and one of her short-term goals that she's currently working on is to implement the OpenGov budget portal, which will be available on our website hopefully pretty soon. So she's here to present your year-end for fiscal '25 and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
So I know that you have the memo that was prepared, and I will just go over some highlights of it, which I'm sure will generate some questions. And please keep in mind that these are figures that we have accumulated as of current. And the town is on a modified accrual basis, which means that we still have a window through August 31st, 60 days, to continue to do adjustments that are required for proper presentation of the audit and the financial statements. So these numbers will, in fact, change. The general fund revenues came in at approximately 107.6% of the approved annual budget, with expenses at 100 and approximately 12%. The overall deficit within the general fund to date is $927,000. However, in the '25 budget, there was a voted use of fund balance of $269,000, and then through Article 9, an approval of another $852,000. And so taking those two approvals of the fund balance, you are covered in that $927,000 deficit and actually have a bit of a buffer there. We do have, like I said, adjustments that still need to be made as of August 31st, so that may change, but currently that's where you stand. The cash balance as of the end of June, which is final, is $14,800,000, and revenues include approximately $1.8 million of receivables. Now, I understand that that has been a topic of discussion for the last couple months since I've added certain receivables. But I do want to remind you that all of those receivables, with the exception of the EMS receivables, have been in your financials all along. So there is really nothing new other than the EMS receivable in your financials that you've been looking at on a regular basis. Also, there's approximately $900,000 in accounts payable, which offset those receivables. So we're talking about two different basis of accounting and presentation. It's not cash in the bank,
but it's more of an accrual where we're including the revenue and the expenses in the proper period for the budget purposes. Just some revenue highlights. In FY '25 thus far, the EMS revenue has totaled $1.5 million compared to the budget of $837,000. In the $1.5 million, that includes a receivable at June 30th of $399,000. That receivable, just for clarification, is only a very 38% of the total outstanding receivable of EMS, because that was in the original plan as to how much they thought would be collected, and that's the figure I'm using. And I also have done a reality check and taken the total charges and what we have received, and it's very close to that percentage. So I'm comfortable with that 38%. And looking at the highlights of the general fund expenditures, the bonds and notes exceeded budget because of an early payoff that was approved on the aerial ladder truck of $200,000. Benefits and payroll taxes were over budget by $762,000 due to several factors, including overtime, increases in the health insurance rates, and payroll tax calculations that were off in the FY '25 budget. The solid waste department is over budget by approximately $129,000 due to increased contractor fees that were not known at the time of the budget preparation. The fire department was over budget by $420,000, primarily due to overtime, and police is over budget by approximately $600,000, largely due to the downtown safety and overtime hours. But please don't forget that a portion of the overage was covered by the Article 9 vote, again, to defray those costs. In the utilities fund, the revenues represent 106% of budget and expenditures are 95%. That's a great place to be, and utilities fund is in a surplus of $512,000. Of that surplus, you can see that we have utility receivables of $1.5 million, but please be reminded that in July of '25, we bill for the prior quarter, and so we need to book those as receivables. The parking fund, the revenues are 75% of the approved budget, expenditures are 90%. We have a deficit of $219,000. However, in that $219,000, we have $219,000 in depreciation. So from a cash point of view, you're at break even for the parking fund. There's various other reports that are included in my memo that are standard that you've seen on a monthly basis. I think they're self-explanatory, but I would certainly field any questions that you might have about those that I could answer with the data in front of me.
Great, Bonnie, thank you very much.
Sure.
And how's the baby?
Wonderful.
Great.
2 weeks old.
Wonderful. All right, let's open it up to select board members who might have questions. Oscar?
Sure. Hi, Bonnie. We're really grateful to have you doing this. It's been really helpful. And I think for me personally, any accounts receivable talk has just been because I find it very confusing.
Sure.
So I'm glad. I think I've been getting to understand it better over the last couple months, but I'm really glad to have you here. I have, there are notable things in the line items for me, but it's mostly been stuff that I feel like we've been tracking over the months, so I don't have particular questions there right now. The $200,000, and some of these are for John, some of these questions. The $200,000 accelerated payment, that was one of the items we chose to do to save the bonds, to save the payment as one of our budget reduction items, right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
That I think reduced the FY '27 budget by something like $50,000.
So it's actually unexpected. This is a cost that we were going to have to pay later. We now paid now, and we were basically able to float that cost because revenues were up, which is a good thing. John, I was wondering, where are we in the process of the audit? Have we found a new person?
I'm going to turn that over to these ladies
Okay.
to explain where we're at with that. I do know that they have put together an RFP, and I don't know the status of it.
You want me to take it?
Sure.
Okay. So we've sent out an RFP to auditors. We did do a pre-screening to call auditors. I am an auditor myself, so I will tell you that finding an auditor, especially that it specializes in government and single audit, is extremely difficult. And I was your auditor for many years. But we have sent out RFPs for those who are interested, and we're going to do a follow-up. We have not received any responses yet.
What is our contingency there?
Yeah. Good question. We have to do an audit.
Right.
We will do an audit.
Yeah, I can add a little bit
Yeah.
to that. Because I'm preparing all of the schedules the way I would want to see as an auditor, I will start calling people and telling them this, and even if we need to draft the financial statements, we can also do that, which is actually a better control for auditors if we, as the client, draft the financial statements. So we will find an auditor, it just may take some time.
And you're going to make sure that all the auditors know how easy it's going to be for them,
Of
should
course,
they do the job.
of course.
That's good.
And I did have one specific question, which is on page 2, the employee contributions to benefits, the actuals are still 0. I was just wondering if you know offhand, are those included as receivables already in the expectation that that will happen?
That number is not really accurate, because when the budget was done, 100, as you know, there's a portion that is paid by the town, a portion is paid by the employees. And that revenue figure was calculated that it was gonna come in from the employees, and that 100% was put in the expense. It's really not a true revenue figure, because only the portion the town pays should be in the expense. So there is no revenue that is captured in that line item.
Okay, I see. And that has instead just been captured by the expense being lower
Correct.
on the other side? Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Other select board members? Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We're so glad you're here. I wanted to see if you could break this down for me. I just could use a little education about the difference between the revenue and the receivable. I'm looking at the first page under general fund revenue highlights, where it talks about EMS revenue being $1.5 million, and the total revenue, including receivable of nearly 400,000. Can you, and if you said this already, forgive me, but what is the difference between the receivable and the revenue?
So let me just figure out the best way to say this. The receivable is revenue that is particularly related to the FY25 or fiscal year that has not been received. So we are required to record that as revenue, which it is in this 1.5 million. It just has not been received. So it's not a cash basis revenue, it's a revenue that will be received hopefully within the next 60 days.
So in that case, we've actually gotten about $900,000 in actual cash, and
closer to 1.1 million.
okay, right, okay.
Right.
And then the other question that I had was, wasn't there a certain amount of that that was actually transferred from another fund, or that's because there was an understanding that at the beginning we weren't going to have, and John, you may have more background information about this, some of that being actually funds that was transferred from another fund within our municipal government to account for the fact that there would be some delays in getting the full, being able to bill completely. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, we had set aside $250,000 in the Special Projects Fund to be brought in as revenue here to cover the startup costs. And so that's within, I believe that's within that 1.5 million.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, and so, and you'll notice too, that even without that, we're well above the budget estimate for EMS reimbursements. So it was a good year.
Other select board members wish to ask Bonnie some questions, or maybe even Sally?
I just want to say thank you for coming. It's great that you, thank you for taking the time.
You're very welcome.
It helps us all, the general public on record, to get a deeper understanding of where we are financially.
Sure.
All right, so let's open it up to the public. And I see that hand in the back, and let me remind you that your questions are to me, and I'll direct them to the presenters. Please come up to the microphone and state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Brian, and I'm just wondering who
Brian, you have a
reimburses-
last name?
I don't feel I need to share that. I just want to know who reimburses the EMS, where the reimbursements come from.
John, you want to
Is there a breakdown of what's the state insurance and what's actual private insurances that are reimbursing it? Where do you guys have somewhere where you can find that?
Yeah, we don't, we can probably provide that information if the board wants.
Yeah, I think the fire.
Well, I just mean, is there
department
like a
Yeah, it's
website
probably
that people
the
can go
fire
to and see if it's private insurance that's reimbursing this money, or if it's all state Medicaid that's coming back for it?
when the fire department reports to us, which is monthly?
Quarterly.
Quarterly,
Yeah.
they have that data, and they share that with us when they
So
come.
they would have past data there if I wanted to go look at it for like the past however long they've been doing it for. It's open to the public to go see that.
Would it be part of the last minutes from the last?
It would be part of the last packet from the last select board meeting. And if you email the town manager, he will direct you to that information.
Thank you so much.
Dick, did you have a question?
I went through all the line items. I could ask 100 questions, but they don't mean anything. The question that really concerns me is the benefits were over by $761,948. And I had asked the question just when you came on in April, when the board was redoing the budget, and they had found that in the budget that just was adopted in May and is now in place, had been underfunded in that area in terms of calculations for payroll and taxes. And I'm trying to remember what that number was. Was it somewhere around $400,000? It was a pretty significant number.
The number, the area, the range that you just mentioned also included, I believe, 3 firefighter positions. So that the
Well, I knew that number, but there was a significant number that when the board was pretty much set, John came back and told the board that our new finance person had run the numbers and we had a real huge deficit, that after the board made several cuts, we had to add money back into the budget.
Right.
And so my question is who is responsible for those numbers that are actually part of this budget that we're looking at? Some of it I can understand, the overtime. But the the calculations for the benefits and the taxes made the error in this budget, and they also made the error in the budget that we were putting together. And that's a significant amount of money, and no one's asked that question. Who's accountable? Who did that, and who's accountable for that? Because that was a huge financial mistake. And so I'm going, doesn't anybody look at that, and doesn't anybody wonder why or who made that mistake? I don't know if it was the finance director. I don't know if it was the HR director. I don't know if it was the assistant town manager or the town manager, but somebody should have to answer for what that mistake was, because it was a huge financial impact here and also in the budget that you were doing, because it impacted the number that you had gotten to, and then we had to put money back in the budget. So that's my concern, and I'd like somebody to address it and at least try to answer the question if you could, please. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure that answer took place in all of our April budget meetings, but let's ask John if you could.
I hate to get quoted on it. I think it was between $100,000 and $200,000. That is the amount that Dick's referring to, I believe, which is about. It's less than 0.5% of our overall budget. It's not a huge impact. It is significant, though, and we don't like to make underestimates. And Bonnie has been extremely helpful in having us identify areas where we were underestimating in the budget. I just want to remind everybody that budgeting is an art. It's not a science. It's something that we do the best we can. And as soon as you have a plan in place, things change, and that's just life. And we do the best we can.
Kate.
Everyone, Kate O'Connor, Brattleboro, and thank you, Bonnie. I'm one of the neurotic people who read your finance reports, so thank you. I just want to clarify, and I appreciate Isaac bringing up the $250,000 from the fund that was put into the EMS that is actually not EMS revenue. And to clarify, and I'm happy about this, so I'm not complaining, but the amount to date that we've raised over what we expected is about $65,000, and that's based on these figures and what the fire department told us. So we have $65,000 more than anticipated. My question about the EMS is, because it's receivables, how, and we know that there's a time where we're not going to bill, we're not going to go actively try to collect the bills. When does that cut-off time come, and how does that impact what we're going to actually really capture in FY 25? Get mixed up where we are. We're in FY 25. So we're saying there's $399,000 worth of receivables. How much of that do we expect to actually collect? And when's the cutoff that for FY 25 we will not be putting that money into our budget? Because if we don't get that $399,000, that impacts our bottom line for FY 25. We've been asking, some of us have been asking now for 2 years for an aging report so we can understand when the bill was sent and when it was collected. So I'm wondering if we're ever going to be able to get that information. And I also just want to point out, looking at this, and this goes to the FY 27 budget, if you look at the financial report, pretty much everything stopped at a certain point in public works, because that's how we don't have a bigger deficit than we have. Because if you folks look at the numbers, Public Works has not spent almost like half of its budget. So I just want to point that out, because that's a big deal when we're actually looking how we're spending our money. And it would actually be kind of nice as a taxpayer to know what has not been done, so that we can actually have a kind of balanced budget, even though we're deficit spending. So I know I just said a lot, and you probably forgot what I said already, but the EMS expenditures and receivables is the big question.
All the questions that have been asked about the EMS receivables is detailed when the fire department comes to their meeting. John, do you want to see if you can?
Yeah, I mean, it's so great that we did very well on reimbursements. I believe that the write-offs that Kate is referring to are already anticipated by the 38% that Bonnie described earlier. So that's already been taken into account. We're saying that we expect 38% to come in. The rest may get written off or is not covered by insurance or by Medicare or Medicaid.
Yeah, just to acknowledge a couple things that Kate's saying. And first of all, to say that we have been talking about the aging report. John and I have talked about it. We're trying to work that out. I want to validate some of the things you're saying. the 38% is an overall estimate. You would expect over time that the claims remaining are ones that are less likely to be paid as time goes on. There's probably some effect there. That said, 400K in receivables at 38% is something like $1 million in billings. We're gonna get some of that. We may not get 38%, but we may get 30%. We may get more than 38%. It's a little uncertain, but we're gonna get a good chunk of the 399K. I'm confident. And then the other, I think, fair point, Kate, is that we were on track for what looked like a pretty big deficit, and then operationally reeled it back in. And I think it's a fair question to talk about how did we make that happen, and did we do it in ways that are sustainable, et cetera. And that's a conversation we can have going forward. And
No, I mean, we saved in lots of areas across all departments, not just in DPW.
I think that's called management.
I have David Levenbach.
Mr. Levenbach.
Thank you. David Levenbach, District 9. I'm also on the member of the Finance Committee. Just a couple observations. There are 19 pages of line items, and obviously some are in the positive direction, some are in the negative direction, and that is unexpected that will happen. The observations we'll make do not concern the police, fire, or solid waste overruns and expenses, because they're related to some big policy questions that were considered last year. But I did notice a couple patterns in smaller cases, and I think they're notable. I was, for some reason, unable to do a word search on the document that's in the backup materials, but it seems to me a couple of things that stuck out to me. For some of the relatively minor revenue items, there are overestimates in a good number of them. And so I think going forward, town might want to budget more conservatively for those revenues. Second, telephone expenses are underestimated in many cases. Gas and electric and utilities, and there are different ways that they're described, are underestimated in many cases. And I understand that those are very sensitive to market conditions, but they are still something to take note of. And then finally, and this sort of goes back to the point that Mr. Connor and Mr. Heller just alluded to, it looks like there was underspending in many equipment and maintenance lines. And if those are deferrals, which I could understand those being made, those could be costly in the future. So those are just some things that I noticed in looking at the 19 pages of line items, for which I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Randy.
Hi, Randy Blodgett, District 7. I guess I want to take the way of going forward. First, thank you that we have someone now that's giving us more information, that's organizing more efficiently. I just wonder if we can do some more trend analysis now that we're starting to get things organized, that monthly, even weekly, I'm not sure the capabilities of OpenGov, but that it gives the town manager, different employees and staff tools to see where different, whether it's revenue, whether it's receivables, whether it's payable, what's the trends, where are they headed? Overall budgeting and stuff, in my opinion, you need to watch the trends. And if the trends are out of control, you need to rein them back in. Budget accuracy, I think, is what David was just talking about. So again, I think if we get all electronic, it's going to be easier, hopefully, to see that and manage that, because it didn't seem like that in the last year and a half. Cost controls, I know with all the overtime problems we've had, that's a major thing. So I don't know if we have anything new in place, or we're planning to put new things in place for that, so that you can catch it sooner or address it, or see if we need to make a change to not have this as high in overtime, or at least explain why we're having it. And then basically, I just see that when I went through that, what I see is just, it needs improved budgeting, improved cost control, and then whatever revenue we can collect sooner would sure help us out with cash flow, it seems like.
Thank you. Are there any comments you'd like to make?
No.
I
All right.
have one comment I would like to make,
Please.
just in the idea of forecasting. So the line on page 7 of tax abatements, so we budgeted 10,000, but we've spent almost 29,000 in tax abatements. And that, what is that forecast? Does that forecast that it's a bad year, or does that just forecast that that's a change in our future budgeting?
I think that has to do with the legislator. Isn't that correct, John? That
No,
It's
I mean,
it's page 7, it's right at the top. 54013.
I think that is the, when listers give an abatement to somebody experiencing hardship, that's where it comes out of that line.
So we had expected we would forgive $10,000 worth of taxes, and instead we forgave close to $29,000 worth of taxes.
I believe that's right.
And if you've ever been to an abatement hearing, you'll know
I
how
have.
shocking that is.
I have, but it's of note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else? Kate would like to ask another question or comment.
I'm only asking it because Bonnie's here and she's like smarter than I am. I don't want to make comments about whether she's smarter than the rest of us, but my question is, with the receivables on the EMS, we have until August 30th, what I understand is to make changes to the FY25 budget. Does after August 30th any money come in for EMS that was billed during FY25? How is that accounted for? Does that go towards FY26, or does it always just get backfilled to FY25? If that makes my question make sense.
That's an interesting question, Bonnie. Can you answer that?
So just a point of clarification, the August 31st date is the date where we finish the entries to make the financial statements within the modified accrual, the way we need to present the financial statements. If the audit hasn't happened and we have not completely closed the books and we get a windfall of EMS money that is for FY25, we certainly can increase the revenue to FY25. If the audit is taking place and we've closed the books, and that money above and beyond the receivable would go into FY26.
Great, thank you. Yes,
I just
Randy?
have one thing, maybe clarification.
Sure.
So I don't know if everybody's followed everything that's gone on for so many meetings and such a long period of time, but the money we're talking about EMS is very complicated because some of it is people have no insurance, so they're getting a cash bill. Other people have Medicaid, Medicare, they're getting that, and we're somewhere in what, 34%, I believe is the number on that. If you have major insurance, Blue Cross, whatever, it's around 66%. So a lot of people want to know what the mix is. Well, the mix is a bouncing ball. It depends on the week, it depends on the month, it depends on a lot of things. So that's where these numbers are so convoluted, is because unless we have it where it's being published, more regularly, you don't know where we're at. And that's why it's not easy to give an answer. So I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Thank you very much, Randy. All right, is there anything else? Yes? Gary. You're our last commenter, Gary.
I'm going to make it real quick. I was just curious to know, I don't know, either John or any of you might know, Liz or Bonnie, do you also deal in risk management along with your hat that you're wearing now as an auditor to determine, certain factors and actualities of where certain futures go with the monies to help, guide in the future what's coming down now with, increases in tariffs and taxes and things to that aspect? I just curious if you also deal in that, or anyone in your department deals with risk management.
Let's ask John that question.
I would say that everything we do in municipal government is risk management, and it's trying to balance that all the time, and it's very, very challenging work, but, you know, as you see, we've been able to mitigate things in the course of the year, and hopefully we'll continue to do better and better at our budgeting process and taking risk into account as we move forward.
Great. Well, thank you. You're welcome. Bonnie, Sally, thank you very much for coming and reporting
you.
and for your work on the finances for the town. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's move back to the agenda and see where we are, which is,
We need a motion on that? To
No.
accept it?
Yeah.
we do?
Thought we
If
did.
you want to.
All right.
So I will motion
Great. Peter, give us a motion.
to accept the Finance Department's June 2025 finance report as presented.
Great. Select board members, would you like to vote to accept the Finance Department's June 25 finance report as presented? Please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 5-0. Now, we have the board nomination for the Brattleboro Community Television BCTV Board. John, would you like to discuss that?
We received a letter from Garrett Harkowick, the president of BCTV Board, and he may be online.
Yep, he's
here
online.
And may want to speak to this.
I'm here.
Oh, good. So, Mr. Harkowick, would you like to explain the request that is in the letter of the Select Board's packet?
Absolutely. BCTV, you're all aware of it. It's who's recording this meeting currently. And we are a volunteer board, and so we're always on the lookout for new members. And it was brought to our attention that historically the Select Board of Brattleboro would nominate someone to be on our board. So we'd always have a member of the board that was, basically provided by the Select Board. Whether it be a town employee or just, whoever wants to do it. And I think that practice went on up until, about 10 years ago. I'm not sure exactly when it ended. But we thought that'd be a great idea to, bolster our board. So we are asking that you, take that practice back up again. And in this case, Seth Thomas, who is an employee of the town of Brattleboro, was very enthusiastic about BCTV, and we reached out to him, and he would love to join the board through this process. So basically, we're asking you to nominate him, and then at some point in the future, when he has is no longer on the board, you would agree to find us a new person to serve on the board. And that is the gist of it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you, Gary. Well, board, this seems like an easy lift because Seth is enthusiastic about BCTV and a valuable member of our staff. And would someone like to make a motion? Isaac?
I move to nominate Communications Coordinator Seth Thomas to the Brattleboro Community Television Board.
Great. Isaac has nominated Communications Coordinator Seth Thomas to the Brattleboro Community Television Board. All Select Board members in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Great. That's 5-0. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Seth. And that is the end of our agenda. Would someone like to make a final?
No,
Oh, yeah, we're going
back in.
back in. So, guess what, people? I have 2 more motions to make. The first motion is because we are returning to executive session at this time. I move to find that premature public knowledge regarding contracts would clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage because the Select Board risks disclosing its strategy if it discusses the proposed items in public. Would Select Board members like to vote on that motion? All raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. The second motion, I move that we enter executive session to discuss the negotiating or securing of real estate purchase or lease options and contracts to which the public body is or may be a party to under the provisions of Title I, Section 303A, 1A, and Section 303A2, and invited to the executive session are the town manager, the town attorney, the director of the Department of Public Works, the assistant director, Department of Public Works, a solid waste consultant, and the human resource director. All select board members in favor of this motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
And that's another 5-0. Thank you all very much. Yes. And we'll come back.